Plenty of tourists come to Nepal to trek the Himalayas and visit Buddha's birthplace, but this airport, it almost feels busier with Nepalis leaving the place. The exodus is real. About 3.5 million Nepalis live abroad, with most going to India, Malaysia and the Gulf for work. Australia is popular too, with Nepali being one of our fastest growing migrant communities. Where are you travelling to?
Malaysia.
Why do you need to leave Nepal to go and find work?
देशमा रोजगारी छैन हैन मुस्किल नै छ हामी जस्तोले काम पाउन त्यही भएर बाहिर नै निस्किदा ठीक
But it's not just a lack of jobs that plagues Nepal. Allegations of corruption and poor governance are so rife, the place was primed to pop. Last year, a revolution rocked Nepal when angry young people toppled the government. So, I've come to the Himalayan country to find out why Gen Z rose up and what's next. My journey starts deep in the country's rural east, with a story about another conflict somewhere else.
These roads are barely on the map, but I think we're here.
The man I'm meeting went to extreme lengths to make money, and he's lucky to be alive.
Welcome to my home.
Thank you.
My son.
That's your son. Beautiful.
Randir is a humble farmer, but a couple of years ago, he became a mercenary for Russia, fighting against Ukraine.
Why did you go to Russia?
पैसा नभएर नि सुरुमा अब त्यो भन्दा पनि कस्तो भने एक्चुअली विदेश जाउँ विदेशमा गएर एक्चुअली कस्तो हुँदो रहेछ भनेर चाहिँ पैसा पनि थिएन अब पैसा अब यहाँतिर लकडाउनले गर्दा नि निकै बिग्रेको थियो व्यवहार हेर त्यसले गर्दाखेरि गएको जाँदा जाँदै बिग्रिहाल्यो क्या झन् साह्रो बिग्रियो.
Did you know that you would be fighting for Russia?
मलाई थाहा नै भएर गएको लडाइँ नै छ भनेर नि गएको तर ट्रेनिङ चाहिँ लामो छ भन्थ्यो तर 15 दिन मात्रै ट्रेनिङ भयो क्या हाम्रो चाहिँ.
What were the Russians offering?
Salary चाहिँ हाम्रो $2500 भनेको.
With a monthly wage like that on offer, more than 200 Nepalis have reportedly gone to fight for Russia. And while officially 12 have died in combat, the real number is thought to be much higher. Randir, in a way, got off lightly.
यस्तोमा र यहाँलाई यस्तोमा छ कि यस्तोमा छ कि तर हामी त्यो 24-25 दिन हस्पिटल बस्यो अनि हस्पिटलदेखि नै फेरि नाम आयो क्या रेडजनमा.
Instead of returning to the battlefield, and with the help of some Russian soldier friends, he fled.
यहाँ नेपाल आउँदा नि कम्ता दुःखले आएको त 7वटा देश घुम्दै आएको ट्रान्जिट गर्दै त्यही भएर चाहिँ कसैलाई पनि नजा भन्छ अब भाग्यको कुरा आफ्नो भाग्यको कुरा हो कसैलाई राम्रो पर्ला कसैलाई नराम्रो पर्ला.
Do you think it was right to fight for Russia?
सैद्धान्तिक रूपमा त गलतै हो हैन तर अब कस्तो छ भने नेपालमा छैन के गरेर खाने बाटोहरु चाहिँ छैन के.
Youth unemployment here is over 20%. That's more than 1 in 5 young people without a job. A staggering number when over half of Nepal's population is under 30.
त्यही भएर मान्छेले विदेश जान खोज्छ विदेश जाँदाखेरि पैसा कमाउने ठाउँ खोज्छ पैसा चाहिँ अरु देशको कन्ट्रीको भन्दा धेरै राम्रो दिएको छ रसियन आर्मीमा त्यही भएर मान्छे रसिया जान खोज्छ.
For those who stay in Nepal, disillusionment runs deep. Nepal's youth struggle to see a future. So, in September 2025, when the government suddenly banned social media, it was like pouring fuel on a fire. When angry young people flooded the streets to protest, It wasn't just because they couldn't access Instagram or TikTok. They came out denouncing corruption, nepotism, and the failings of the political elite. The police responded with tear gas, water cannon, and bullets, killing 19. The next day, public anger at the young deaths boiled over. It wasn't just Gen Z on the streets anymore. It felt like everyone. Government buildings and police stations around the country were burnt down, and even more people were killed. The government turned social media back on and resigned in disgrace.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you famous?
Yeah, quite.
Nimesh Shrestha is a local social media star. He's known for making comedy videos, but during the Gen Z uprising, young people looked to him for serious news.
It was a very hard time, like mentally, and I gave information which was very trustworthy to people. So at that point of time, they followed me more.
Before the protests, a subversive video trend was going viral.
Perfect, yeah.
Social media clips were showing the children of Nepal's politicians and elites flaunting luxury lifestyles. They were known as Nepo babies.
Like finally we could see how rich they were. And they are the children of politicians, and they
Politicians get paid that much?
know.
So if the children of politicians who aren't paid that much are flaunting a lot of money on social media, what does that tell you?
Yeah, we can clearly see like it's from corrupted money. I think it impacted a lot of people, like started questioning them. Why do we have to leave our country? Why we don't have opportunity? So I think it made us re-realize what we were, what we always knew.
You were being robbed.
Yeah, we're being robbed. Yeah, we were being robbed, and finally we could see it. Not read it, not hear it, but see it. See it through our own eyes in TikTok.
The Nepo baby trend was essentially an anti-corruption campaign, and critics saw the government's social media ban as an attempt to silence it. But if the Gen Z uprising started with young people taking to the streets, by the second day, it became intergenerational.
This place is like all wholesale.
This is where your dad works.
Yeah, he's my dad.
Namaskar. Can I ask you, what did you think of the Gen Z protests that happened here?
जेएनजीको माग के हो भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ मात्र भ्रष्टाचार नियन्त्रण गर्नु पर्यो, देशमा सुशासन शासन ल्याउनु पर्यो भन्ने चाहिँ हो। अनि एउटा चाहिँ सामाजिक सञ्जाल हटाएको विषयमा युवाहरूले आन्दोलन गरेको हो। त्यसमा केपी ओली सरकारको जुन घमण्ड अहंकारले चाहिँ जुन उसले एकै दिनमा 19 जना बच्चाहरू मारे, हाम्रा कलिला बालबालिकाहरू मारे, अनि त्यसकै आक्रोश चाहिँ भोलि 24 गतेको हामी जस्ता जुन बाहरू आमाहरू सब उठेर चाहिँ आएर चाहिँ यो विद्रोह भएको।
So you yourself went out and protested the next day?
जसको उनीहरूको घमण्ड अहंकारले चुर भएको व्यक्तिलाई एउटा हटाउनको लागि नै उठेको र ऊ आफै पनि हटेर जानु पर्यो।
Lots of young people here leave the country to find work. You've made a success of yourself. What do you think would help Nepal?
अब यसको रोक्नको लागि के भने एउटा स्वच्छ सरकार आउनु पर्यो, भ्रष्टाचार हटाउनु पर्यो र उद्योग धन्दालाई जुन उद्योग चलाउनेहरूलाई चाहिँ कसरी हुन्छ त्यो कृषिमा गर्नु पर्यो कि हरेक चीजमा गर्नु पर्यो।
The scars of the uprising are visible around Kathmandu. Government buildings still lie in ruin. Graffiti is everywhere. And an interim government was installed to hold an election. But for Gen Z, did the uprising change anything?
This was the parliament. I'm not sure if this still is,
the whole thing got burnt down, did it?
Yeah.
This wasn't the only government building to burn down, was it?
No. So our parliament, executive, judiciary, all three pillars of government, actually
All three
four.
branches.
Oh, yeah, and four actually, media house as well.
Akriti Gamiri is one of the few Gen Z activists who worked in the interim government.
What role did you have in the government, and why do you not have your job anymore?
Good question. So I was working as a member of the Prime Minister Sushila Karki's secretariat. Why I don't have my job is because we spoke out against the nepotism that we saw. So because we spoke out against it, my assumption is it's because of that we were removed.
To the average Gen Z protester on the street, what do you think they're seeing from the interim government? Is anything changing?
For them, not so much. For a lot of people who are on the streets and who are seeing it from afar, all that they're seeing is the perpetrators are free and the protesters are being arrested. And this is actually creating a lot of unrest.
I guess something I'm wondering is, September 8, 9 was very dramatic.
Yeah.
Gen Z came out and said we're angry. The government was overthrown, but what next?
What next is we're going to have elections, we're going to elect better leaders, hopefully, and we're going to have a parliament that actually cares about the public.
The optimism isn't shared by everyone. There's concern that the same old parties and their leaders that have dominated Nepal's politics for over a decade will be returned to power. While those who paid for the Gen Z uprising with their lives and blood are still counting the costs. Hey, there he is. Hey, look, he's got some flowers. 18-year-old schoolboy Shantanu Dakal wanted to change Nepal. Instead, the protests changed him.
It was the black day for Nepal. At that protest, everything was peaceful, but suddenly, without any warning, the police start firing, and I was shot there. It hit directly at my this jaw. The left mandible is completely destroyed.
The aftermath was captured on video.
So I have this whole part missing here. So I had to breathe from the tracheostomy tube, and it was very painful also. So we have to do, in every 10 minutes I have to do the suction there. It's from a pipe in my neck, and they clear out all the secretions also. I have very difficulty with eating, and I'm very depressed also at that time. What happened to you? What happened to me? What will happen to my future?
His treatment up to this point is only temporary. Reconstructive surgery is now needed. Bone from his leg will make a new jaw, followed by extensive plastic surgery. Can you get the treatment that you need in Nepal?
If it is not possible in Nepal, I have to go in another country for the operation. So I hope the government will treat us good and cure my operation.
Shantanu is one of many left wounded. Over 2,000 people were injured and 77 were killed over the 2 days of unrest. I saw in your Instagrams, it looked like until very recently you had trouble even talking.
Yeah, I have just removed my tracheostomy tube, so now I'm talking.
When did that happen?
1 week.
You're 1 week back
Yeah.
to talking.
So very proud moment to us. I thought once he could get back voice or not, I was doubtful during his treatment, but luckily he is now normal.
Do you remember the moment that you learnt that Shantanu had been shot and injured?
उसलाई गोली लाग्यो भनेको सुन्दाखेरि त अब यो चट्याङ हानेको हुन्छ नि आकाशबाट जतिखेर चट्याङ हानो हामीलाई त्यस्तो चट्याङ हाने जस्तो भयो कि अब यो संसारमा हामीले यो केही पनि थाहा पाएनौँ क्या केही थाहा भएन अब यहाँ मनमा चाहिँ अब के भन्नु त शब्दै छैन क्या एकदमै गाह्रो भयो त्यतिखेर धेरै गाह्रो भयो सम्झिनलाई बुझ्नलाई अब जीवित छ कि छैन मात्रै बुझ्न पाए हुन्थ्यो भन्ने हस्पिटलमा चाहिँ त्यो भयो
Compensation has been offered to the victims by the interim government, but it's a sticking point.
So tell me, what compensation have you received, if any?
Not yet. They haven't given anything, but they have provided me a victim card, Genji victim card, along with that 20,000 rupees.
That's roughly 200 Australian dollars. What are your costs so far?
50,000 around our personal money.
त्यो भिक्टिम कार्ड र मात्रै 20,000ले त केही पनि होइन अब उसको जिन्दगी अब अपाङ्ग भयो हैन अब सान्तनको फ्युचरमा चाहिँ ठिकै हुन्छ होला ठुलो काम गर्न पनि अब सक्दैन अब हामी त खेती किसानको मान्छे गाउँघर खेती किसान त गर्नै पर्यो त्यसमा पनि उ चाहिँ सक्दैन एउटा मात्रै हो अरु कोही छैन हामीले चाहिँ अब उले कमाउनु पर्छ बाबु हामीलाई पाल्नु पर्छ बुढेसकालको सहारा होस् भन्दै गरेको थिए मैले त्यो भन्दै गरेको उले थाहा थियो त्यही भएर पनि उले चाहिँ अब मैले उठ्नु पर्छ अब म निको हुनु भए भन्नु पर्छ भन्ने उसको धारणा भएको होला
Alleged corruption in Nepal infects all sectors, from bribes for administrative services to political patronage and nepotism to allegations of large-scale fraud in business and government. A question being asked now is, can the Gen Z activists who railed against corruption make the jump to becoming elected politicians?
First thing, we need to stop corruption. Corruption is making our country poorer economically, socially or mentally.
26-year-old Kishori Karki is new to protesting. Her experience at the Gen Z uprising was a baptism of fire.
Tell me what happened at the Gen Z protest, because as I understand it, you became a little bit famous.
Yeah. One guy was just shooting the gun near the Parliament House, and I rescued him on a bike.
The footage of Kishori helping the injured man was shared widely on social media.
I rescued him and I took him to civil hospital in Nepal, and that's the reason many people captured my video and they made me viral.
Namaste.
Kishori had only been living in Kathmandu for a few months when this happened. The experience didn't just raise Kishori's profile, it changed her life.
And so, before the protests, you were just Kishori, the girl from Bharatnagar, and now you're trying to become a politician, is that right?
Yeah, due to my situation, even I lost my father when I was 22 months old. Now he is in missing list. I'm in forced disappearance family member. Today I'm here. My dad is a politician. He has many dreams to make this country beautiful, and due to his dream, I'm working on it, and that's the reason for me to come in politics. I will be the candidate from my village where I got birth. My birthplace is Okhaldunga and I live in Viratnagar.
For much of its history, Nepal was a Hindu kingdom. In 1996, civil war engulfed the country as Maoist insurgents fought to end the monarchy's rule. The 10-year conflict killed over 17,000. Many were kidnapped or went missing.
Your bedroom still looks like a teenage girl bedroom.
Oh yeah, this is my doll. My best friend birthday gift. Yeah.
You truly are Gen Z.
Yeah.
Many in Gen Z are too young to remember the Civil War, but it haunts the families with missing loved ones. The Red Cross says about 1,300 who went missing are still unaccounted for. Kishori's father is one of them. So that's you. So how old are you there?
12 months, she said.
Oh.
Yeah.
Do you remember your father?
No, I haven't known his face. I just seen him in a picture.
And is that the only photo?
Yeah, only photo with me. He was just carrying me. I was just a small kid.
उहाँ चाहिँ माओवादीमा लागेकै कारणले गर्दा त्यसपछि पक्राउ पर्नुभएको थियो अनि 58 मङ्सिर 15 मा पक्राउ परिसके पछाडी त्यसपछि अहिलेसम्म उसको बाबा थाहा छैन न सास छ न लास छ.
How do you think what happened to your husband, your dad, has influenced Kishori? What are you feeling? Tell me about it.
एकछिन भएपछि ल अनि एकदमै सानैदेखि नै उसले चाहिँ एकदम सङ्घर्षै गर्दै आएको थियो. म मेरो सङ्घर्ष देखेको थिएँ उसले. त्यो भएकोले गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ अनि अब मेरो बाबा छैन भने अरूको पनि म जस्तै धेरै छ, मैले यही काम गर्नुपर्छ.
Are you sure you want to get into politics? I mean, politics can be a rough business, which you and your family know too well.
Yeah. मलाई चाहिँ पहिलेदेखि पोलिटिक्समा आउन चाहिँ मन थिएन हैन. मलाई चाहिँ कस्तो थियो भने अब यो जेनजेडको मोमेन्टमा जुन म आफै पनि सडकमा थिएँ, उहाँहरूसँग जोडिएको थिएँ. अब त्यो पीडा चाहिँ सेम मेरो पीडासँग जोडियो के. ढोकामा ढकढकाइरहन्छु, गजगजाइरहन्छु. त्यसको लागि म पोलिटिक्समा छिरेको.
After Nepal's civil war, the Hindu monarchy was abolished, but the country's new democracy has proven fragile. The Prime Ministership has changed 14 times in 18 years, and not one completed a full parliamentary term. Some in Nepal look back at the way things were with fondness. This rally is about this guy, Nepal's old king. Many people here want a return to monarchy rule. If it's about a wish to return to stability, for this crowd that's more Gen X, the recent uprising was just more proof that the current system isn't working. The man on stage is Rabindra Mishra. Once the head of the BBC's Nepali service, he's now a candidate for a party that wants to return Nepal's king to power. What would that mean for Nepal's democracy?
We have been categorically stating that we want a constitutional monarchy.
He means the king would be a non-political head of state, like we have in Australia.
We haven't claimed that by returning the monarch, we'll stop the corruption, we'll stop all the maladies in the society and all that. We haven't said that. What we have said is, king is the symbol of unity in terms of religion, in terms of culture, in terms of civilization, in terms of social cohesion, in terms of national integrity, in terms of sovereignty, right? So he will stay as the symbol of traditional power in Nepal.
It's thought there's a low chance of the king's return. But the generational divide and the tension between Nepal's past and future is expected to play out in the election. While those who put their bodies on the line during the Gen Z uprising are still waiting for justice.
Hello, namaste. हाई ए पुरै ठिक भइसक्यो त अब त बोल्नै भइसकेछ त
अब बोली पनि आयो एउटा कस्टमर खोलेर
मजाले बोल्न सक्छौ अहिले
मजाले नै सक्छु म
And for Gen Z activists, the fight continues.
18 वर्षको भाइलाई यसरी गोली लाग्दाखेरि उहाँले आफ्नै खर्च बेहोरी राख्नुपर्छ भने यो के खालको सरकार हो तपाईहरुलाई त एउटा लाजस्पदको कुरा हो साइन गराउनु छ भने हामी जस्तो जेनजीलाई बसाएर हैन उहाँ भाइहरु जस्तो घाइतेहरुलाई समेट्नुस् सबै घाइते शहीद परिवार समेट्नुस् अनि उहाँहरुको माग पूरा भएपछि मात्रै सम्झौता पत्र साइन गर्नु होला म सबैलाई यही अनुरोध गर्न चाहन्छु थ्यांक यू सो मच
Nepal went to the polls on March 5th. While counting is still underway, it's clear that Gen Z has spoken. With a 35-year-old former rapper turned mayor, Balendra Shah, on track to be Prime Minister. His relatively new party campaigned on anti-corruption, reform and youth in politics. Kishori, however, was unsuccessful in her attempt to get elected.